Thanks everybody for joining. It's been great to have these every day. I want to take a little bit of time today, and definitely, for you all that have questions, be chatting away and ask James questions. But I want to sort of step back and just share sort of what's on my mind and really the thought behind why we built this product, but really just of course, we had no idea that this crazy pandemic would happen around our world, which has just been horrific. And, I feel for all those that have been affected by this, whether they are, all those on the front lines. And I think it's been just, but I think, there's great light here at the end of the tunnel. I think there is light to be seen, and we're going to come out of this, and I think stronger. And that's what I wanted to quickly talk about and then get back into the product, James. But and really talk about what are we about to become, and I don't mean to get too philosophical here, but really, I think that's what you got to think of yourself. We're on this call primarily because we're business people, but what are we about to be? And I think that is what's so important about April 2020 and the choices we make right now. And you guys are on this call because you're interested in how you can transform your business. But that's really the ultimate question. What are we about to become? What are we going to be when we come out of this? And, I've done a lot of thinking, as we all have. I'm obviously still working a lot, but spent a lot more time with my family since they're not in school. But really, I think that's the question we have to say is, what do we want to become? What are we going to be after this? And I think, we really have two choices to make. And there's really, in my simple little mind, there's two choices we can make as business people. And that is, are we going to be creative? Or are we not going to be creative? Are we going to come out of this and reinvent our business? Are we not? And I think that's true, whatever your business is, real estate, healthcare provider, insurance rep. We have people from every walk, almost every kind of profession using our software. But that's really the answer is, what are we going to do? And I think transforming your business, there is no option. If we don't do things differently, we will all become Blockbuster, right? And it's an overused analogy, but it's true. You either will come out of this being Blockbuster, or you will come out of this being Netflix, right? And again, an overused analogy, but I think it's so true. It wasn't that something put Blockbuster out of business, right? It was more that they chose not to change with the times. That is what's so paramount. Blockbuster just did not choose and did not see it, did not, look at it. And of course, Netflix and others put them out of business. It was because their choices as a business not to reinvent themselves. And I think that's what I encourage my team about every day, is we have to think that way. And it's really simple. We have a choice to do that or not. And I think we're going to be looked back upon, all of us, small business owner to the big business owners. We look back upon as those, and we'll probably be labeled. I'm writing about this today. We'll probably be labeled, and we're going to be labeled. If there's labels, we like to label generations, right? We just overkill, right? You're a boomer. You're a Gen Z. I'm a Gen X. You're a Gen Y. We label people in demographics and so forth. But I think we're going to be labeled really differently coming out of this, and label it as an April 2020 creative or an April 2020 not creative, right? And I think that's how we're going to be looked upon. And I really see two kind of paths emerging, and you're going to see some incredible innovation, some incredible new Netflixes, if you will. There's just crazy new businesses coming out, and then there's going to be lots of going away. And so what does that mean for us? It means for us right now, including myself, how do we reinvent ourselves? And I think one of the and I don't mean, you don't have to think of this as so radical, but in your own business, how do you sell differently? And I think, one thing that we have preached over and over and over and over is one of our greatest gifts that we all have, and we all have is the art of conversation. And we can either choose to use it, or we can choose not to use it. And I think it all goes back to that. So why are we talking about social media. And why are we talking about, and we got to remind people, as James always does, that social media is supposed to be social, right? Many people don't use it that way. They promote themselves, but social media is supposed to be social. But why are we, what does this all mean to us? Well, it means that there's no better time to have a conversation right now, right? There's no better time. When the world gets back on, and it's going to turn back on, it's going to turn back on in different ways, but it's going to get busy again. It's going to get noisy again. And right now, people are, probably, a lot of people are wondering and listening. And so it's a time to have a conversation. I mean, there's no better time to have a conversation than right now. And I would just encourage you, no matter what your business is think about this as simple as, what is my conversation? And that starts not with how great I am and what products I sell. It starts with, who are you? How are you? What are you thinking about? And the art of conversation starts with listening, and then of course then goes into saying something, and then you got to figure out, did that work well enough? That is the art of conversation. And so what we've simply done with Soundboard is help you listen, right? Which is the beginning of that conversation, is how do you listen and how do you become relevant and credible? And the only way you're going to do that is to listen first. And so what we've simply done, and it's taken lots of time and lots of interesting years at building this technology, but it's to help you listen, right? It's to help you gather intelligence, and so that you can be relatable, you can be relevant, you can be credible. And that's why we built Soundboard. So I just want to make sure people know that's really at the simplest level what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help ourselves. I mean, we're in this with you. How we reinvent ourselves, how we have more conversation with customers, and how you can do the same. And that's what I encourage everybody, no different than the people on this call, to my team. How do we have more conversation? How do we engage more? And it starts with understanding who we're talking to.